So yet again, this government proved that they say one thing and then do exactly the opposite. So they made a statement not that long ago saying that they were intent on reducing the reliance of the NHS generally on overseas and migrant workers, and they would do everything they can to try and make sure that the NHS was more reliant on homegrown British talent and British workers. Yet they've now just taken a measure that does exactly the opposite to that. So the government gives grants every year to universities and to the university sector to help them fund the training of nurses, because that's an expensive course to run, and they've been giving grants to the universities to enable them to train more nurses. They've just frozen those grants. So essentially, because inflation, because every other cost is going up, by freezing the grants, it's effectively a real terms cut. The nursing unions, the universities themselves, and everyone connected to the nursing sector have come out and said that this is a massive issue. It's going to make it more difficult to train nurses. It's going to make less nurses be able to get through the system and complete their training and go into jobs within the NHS. And essentially, it's going to make the UK more reliant on importing foreign trained workers. So on the one hand, they're telling you we are going to end the reliance on migrant workers in the NHS and we're going to hire and train more British people. And on the other hand, they're freezing the grants that enable them to do that. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. There's already caps on medical school places. There's already caps on the number of people that can be trained that want to go to medical school, that want to go through nursing school. We're already restricting the numbers of people that can go and work in the NHS that are British people. Young men, young women that want to contribute, that want to work for the NHS, whether that's in nursing, midwifery, as a doctor. We already make it very, very, very difficult for them. And now we're effectively reducing the funding to make it even more difficult. It's a joke. If you're serious about this as a government, fund it completely. Cut other things. There's many, many, many other things that could be cut. This should be funded. Every single British person that leaves school and wants to go to university to study medicine, to become a doctor, a nurse, a midwife, a paramedic, whatever it might be, should get a place and should be able to go into the industry. Every single one. There should be zero caps whatsoever and zero funding issues whatsoever. It's vital. We should not be importing nurses and doctors from overseas. Absolutely no way. Not when we have enough of our own people who want to go into that sector, want to go into that industry, want to go into medicine, and we're stopping them from doing it. Are you even aware of that? Are you aware that we don't actually have a shortage of nurses or doctors? What we have a shortage of is training places and money to enable them to train. We could staff the NHS, largely speaking, through our own people, if we hadn't capped it, cut it for the last 20 years. Of course, we're not going to be able to change that overnight. Of course, it's going to take many, many, many years to catch up. But if we reduced all the caps, if we allowed the funding levels to go back to where they should be, then over the course of the next decade, we could turn this around. But they're not going to do it. They are just reliant on effectively cheap labour from overseas. And sadly, although many of those workers that come from overseas are absolutely fabulous, I was in hospital on only Thursday having an operation, and many of the people that treated me, I'm sure, were trained overseas. They were fantastic. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But should we be importing people to do those jobs when we could be training our own people? Does that make any sense? And why are we cutting the funding for it? And this is not me making this up. There's a big article in the Telegraph about it. If you go on to any form of AI and just say, has funding to university for nurse courses been frozen, you'll see that it has. So the question is why? Why on one hand are they telling us they want to end the reliance on foreign workers, and on the other hand they're making it more and more difficult for British workers to get those jobs? It's a joke.